Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 621, Sink or Swim. We'll detail why it's called that. Also, welcome to the last weekend of summer. I'll explain that also. Yes, Dylan, I am, yes, everybody out there, I know that summer actually does not officially end until mid-September, but I will explain why I said that. Busy week for my family, all parts of my family. We'll talk about that a little bit. Also, it is, you can almost taste fall, which is, for those who've been watching my show now for 11, 12, 13 plus years, 2013, I think it's been 12 years. You know how much I love fall, and you know that when we get down to this point, August 24th, 2025, which is the last weekend of summer, technically, you get an idea of what I must be starting to feeling, because I'm starting to see a lot more stuff about Halloween, a lot more Halloween stuff. Football's back. Things are winding down, and luckily in our area, the temperature has been extraordinarily calm and coolish, cooler than normal. No really hot summer, and it's going to be sticking that way for the next 10 days. I'll give you a good example. This is just absolutely perfect for me right now. 79 tomorrow, 74 Tuesday, 73 Wednesday, 75 Thursday, 76 Friday, 73 Saturday, 76 Sunday, 76 Monday, 76 Tuesday. Lows 63, 56, 55, 55, 59, 56, 56, and 60, 59. So we're talking 50s as lows. It is currently 74 degrees right now outside. There's some moisture in the air, but nothing has hit us yet. So, but yeah, it is. It's the last weekend of summer. Let me explain why. It's last weekend of summer because school starts tomorrow for my son. He will be going into grade 11. Also, unfortunately for him, his 16th birthday is tomorrow also. It's great that he's turning 16, but it just so happens to fall on the first day of school. So he's not very happy about that, which is understandable. So, yep, tomorrow I have a 16-year-old. So another 16-year-old. So that's insane. So that'll be good. Scouts is starting back up for them. He is a Cub pack leader. So he's going to start doing that again on Tuesday. He's been off all summer for that. Now he's got to go back starting this Tuesday. Then he's back to scouting. So he hasn't had scouting about 3 weeks, I think, because of various reasons. So he's going back to that also. My daughter, we'll talk about her a little bit more, but her college starts on Wednesday. So this weekend was the last weekend she could celebrate with that. This also is the beginning of the Maryland State Fair, which only comes at the tail end of summer. It's also the beginning of the Renaissance Festival, which also comes at the tail end of summer as well. The Reisterstown Festival is not due till the 6th of September, 4th and 5th, or 5th and 6th, whatever that is. And there's that also. This past Saturday, yesterday, college football started officially. The last preseason games are finishing up today, maybe even tomorrow possibly, but the Ravens finished up yesterday 3-0 in the preseason. So now they are just waiting for their Sunday night game, I guess September 6th, whatever that is, against the Bills in Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. So football starts September 4th, I think, which is a Thursday. Or a third or something like that. So let's see. I can't think of first, second, fourth. Yep. And then the 7th is when the Ravens play. So that's coming up quickly. I mean, we have this whole week. But where I said that it's the last weekend of summer is because my son's going back to school tomorrow, and my daughter starts her classes on Wednesday. So what does that also mean for my daughter? This past week, we had a myriad of things happen. My son and my wife came back from sea base at the beginning of this week. It seems like so long ago that they came back, that they've been back for a while, but they hadn't. They came back just this past week on Monday night, actually. And then on Tuesday morning, I took my daughter to her orientation. She put it off the last minute and spent the whole day on her college campus, UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, down in Catonsville. And so basically that was, she and I split up for the whole day, and I sat in college classrooms and was lectured at and stuff like that, and talked about things to do to help and financial stuff and all this other, typical stuff you expect from a college thing as well. So we got all that taken care of, and she was learning about what's to be expected of her and stuff like that, and how to get prep for like that. And then she had a meeting on Wednesday with her advisor where she finally finalized her schedule. So her schedule set. And right before my wife left for sea base, we finalized our money for the semester. So we paid off her semester. So she's all set to go. She got her dorm assignment, and we had to go to the college admin building, to the apartment admin building to make sure that we were missing. They said we were missing stuff, but it turned out we weren't. So we were able to get in line and move her into her place. So we moved her into her dorm room. And these dorms are so much different than the ones I grew up in. It's almost like a hotel. The doors are now key things. You stick it in and pop it up like a hotel key. We didn't have that. We had a regular key for our doors. And you walk in, and there's like this big massive, into their room. This is their room, remember? And there's a big massive like sitting area. There's some couches, a big window looking out, those gorgeous trees and stuff like that. And there's a preschool next door to them, I guess for the college, people who work at college, they put their kids there. Daycare, I should say, not preschool, daycare. And then the other dorms are sort of surrounding it, but they have gorgeous trees, view, stuff like that. So they've got wonderful air conditioning, it was pumping out some really nice cool air, and they've got a little area there. And there's 2 rooms off to the side, and then there's a bathroom that they all share. So there's only one bathroom. Now, my daughter, I only knew this, but my daughter, I guess, knew about this. So there's 2 rooms, and when you go into the rooms, there's 2 beds, one here and one here, and then there's 2 desks here and here, and then they have a closet where they have their sink and a mirror, and they have some shelving units, and they have their the chest of drawers. Well, Noelle's is, because she took that one side, and her roommate's is on the other side, and so. They have that all taken care of. They'll probably work all that out. My daughter bought a mini fridge, so they have that as well. She also, apparently, there's another room right next door where they have another roommate who actually is a single right now. There's only one person in that room, but there is an empty bed there. But I'm assuming that when transfers come in for the spring semester, they'll probably shift them to that room. So it's really, and then they just share a bathroom. So it's a really gorgeous a dorm room. It's really, really nice. And can't wait to see it when it's all decorated. And then when you go out of the dorm room, is like their main common area for their floor. They have like an oven, and I think they've got some other stuff. They have a refrigerator. They've got some other stuff also. And they've got a nice sitting area there. And then they have a conference room in the basement as well. They have laundry services and stuff like that. And they have like a common area outside with other dorms that actually have charcoal grills. So you could grill stuff if you want to. And they're a hop, skip, and a jump from the dining hall. So it's a very good location. And we moved her all in, and everything's good. So she seems fine. She spent, they moved in yesterday. So they don't have class till 27th. So from yesterday to Wednesday to Tuesday, technically, they've got all kinds of events and stuff like that. They had fireworks yesterday and stuff like that. So they have all kinds of events and stuff like that going on to celebrate the beginning of their school year, beginning of their journey. And then she's in constant classes. Next weekend is Labor Day weekend. This is not the last episode of Dylan Knows in August because August 31st is a Sunday. So I will be doing another show in August. That'll be my last one. And I'll also be doing my fall movie preview on Labor Day weekend as well. So keep an eye out for that too. I will try to post those. I haven't been posting stuff lately. I'll do a better job of posting stuff this fall. So with preseason being done, football's on its way. College football's already started. My daughter's college does not have a football team, so their basketball team has made history. They were the only 15 seed to beat a number 1 seed in the first round during the NCAA tournament. So that's pretty cool about that. They wrote a whole book about it. It's really neat. And yes, that's what's going on there. So yeah, looking for, that's what's going to do that. So then next weekend is Labor Day weekend. So my daughter is actually going to be heading out with one of her friends. Her friends is their senior year at Frostburg, and they just moved into an off-campus house. They're going to throw a massive Labor Day shindig. So my daughter's going to head out there and spend the weekend, a Labor Day weekend, out there with her friends, because it's not just her; it's friends from camp and other stuff as well. It should be a fun time for her. So good times. Yesterday, our sink in our master bathroom was having trouble getting the water out. It was going really, really slow drains. It had been gradually getting worse over the last few weeks. And so I bought myself one of those snake things, which I've worked before. It's a snake thing, and then you're supposed to clean it out, and then you pour the solution in it, and it does a great job and cleans it out. I've used it before on that before. However, this time it made things worse. It actually backed it up so that no water could drain now. Our faucet was dripping, so I had to put a bowl underneath it. And last night I had to empty the bowl 3 times, like once at 2, once at 4, and once at like 7, something like that. And there have been times where the bowl was overflowing and it was in the sink, so I had to scrape that out of the sink. So that was great fun. So we called a plumber last night, and they Len the plumber. They decided they were able to come in about 9:30 this morning. And the guy stayed for 2 hours, and he discovered that he couldn't get the drain unclogged because the drain was rusted completely, and we had the drip in the faucet. So, and we also had a leak underneath our sink that was making the underneath the sink be disgustingly damp smelling and filled with water and stuff like that. So that was great. So he offered to put a new faucet on for us. So we said, sure. But then when he tried to, he discovered that because of the rusting, he might not be able to get the pipe off. But he said, let me give it a try. And he was able to saw the pipe off and was able to put the new one in. So we have a new faucet now. So got that taken care of. So that's part of the reason why it's called Sink or Swim. It's not really a sink, but our sink was a problem. So I thought it was clever. I already talked about that. Also this week, Noah and I went to see Shin Godzilla. I had never seen Shin Godzilla before. I had heard him talk about it, but I'd never seen it, never knew what it was about, never even watched any trailers for they were re-releasing it in theaters because they're going to be releasing it in 4K in February. And because Godzilla's hot now, they wanted to strike while it was hot. It's also the 30th or 40th anniversary of, I think it's 30th anniversary of its debut, or maybe 15. It was the anniversary in there. So it might be actually 10, like that. So I had not seen. I went in totally blind. He'd been dying to see it, and we lucked out that it was only going to be out for about a week. And it was during the time he was at Seabase, but there was one last show on Wednesday. So we went to the very last show. They showed the movie theater, and it was a very unique Godzilla film. That's how you're able to make Godzilla interesting, because every Godzilla film has some sort of gimmick to it. And that's how you keep the interest in the character instead of just being a rehash over and over again of Godzilla doing this and Godzilla doing that. You had to do a rehash. So in this case, with Shin Godzilla, they threw you right into the movie. I mean, the event literally just happened the first seconds. There was a massive collapse of an underwater tunnel. And so the movie starts with just how the government goes into protective mode and how they go take care of a situation like that. So it's real quick, boom, boom, fast paced. All the government officials get together. The prime minister is there. They talk about what they know, what they don't know, what they need to do, and he needs to do press conferences. And they were throwing out names left and right on the screen, so you knew who everybody was and what their positions were. And it was just boom, 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 boom. And then you realize that it was Godzilla because there was a giant tail in the water eventually. And so they had that to deal with. So it's just more blah, 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 blah. We're going to do what we're going to do. So like the first 10, 15 minutes is just what the government does during a natural disaster sort of thing. It was just boom, 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 just came at you so fast. And then we get our first look at Godzilla. This Godzilla starts off as like a four-legged, maybe was it four-legged or two-legged? It might have been two-legged salamander sort of type looking beast with giant eyes sort of things. It was, when I first saw it, I didn't know it was supposed to be Godzilla. I thought it was like going to be the villain that Godzilla was going to fight because it didn't look anything like Godzilla. But there's your catch right there. So he goes and he destroys a lot of stuff. So then you go to the blah, 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 blah. What does the government have to do now to fix everything and the ideas and stuff like that? And then he evolves and turns into a two-legged creature. Still not like Godzilla, but he's trying to see more like what Godzilla is supposed to look like. And he destroys more of the towns. And again, this blah, 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 how everybody's going to get stuff out and how the government reacts to it and all this stuff. It's really, really interesting that, it was relentless. It just kept going and just kept going back to what the government was doing. It was like you never really focus on all the minutia, what the government has to do during like a situation like this. And then eventually he disappears. So then they have to have the aftermath and try to figure out what they're going to do. And then he comes back now looking like fully formed Godzilla that we know to, because he evolved again. And so they have to figure out how to defeat him again. And then they teamed up with the Americans. It was so funny. They made us just all be wanting to nuke things and rude and bastards and stuff like that. It was exactly perfect for what the country is right now. And their solution was to nuke Godzilla, which would destroy this Tokyo. And of course, the Japanese government officials were not very happy with that because of what happened at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So they didn't want it to happen again. It was the Americans' only idea, and they got the UN to back it. So they had to come up with an idea. They had like 20 days so they could evacuate everybody before they nuked it because Godzilla was mutating again, sort of in a frozen state, not doing anything. They had to figure out how to get him. So they tried to attack him different ways. It wasn't working. And he used his atomic breath, which is really, really cool. And then what was really neat about the atomic breath was he had limits to it. So, and then when it started to fall apart, it turned into fire, which was really cool. And then it went out. So it was really neat. And it was just trying to figure out plans to stop Godzilla without the United States nuclear bombing it. So it's a really interesting movie. It was, again, a very unique take on Godzilla, a Godzilla that evolves, and you see it evolve like 3 or 4 times in the movie. And just the fact that the whole movie, you're just focusing on the government response to a natural disaster. And it's outstanding. It's so fast paced. It's just, it gives you a little bit of time to rest after Godzilla disappears for the first time, but you're still trying to build up, is that we got a lot of stuff going on and, certain things are happening and there's background politics going. It's really, really good. So, unfortunately, it is not out in movie theaters anymore, and it will be released on Blu-ray in 4K February, according to Amazon. Oops, that's weather. According to Amazon, let's see. It has it set for Tuesday, March 3rd, which is my wife's birthday, actually next year, 2026. So we'll see if that ends up being the case, but that's the date it has now set for it. So we'll see if that happens. Netflix has been doing this for a while, but they've been taking some of their hot TV shows and splitting their seasons so that instead of just dumping it all at one time, everybody just binge watches it and then nobody talks about it. You drop half the episodes, you discuss those, and then you wait, and then you drop the next batch that finishes this series. You binge those, and then you can talk about the thing as a whole. So they did that for Sandman. They're doing that for Stranger Things. And they're doing it for Wednesday. So the new season of Wednesday started back in early August, and the second half of the season is September 3rd. So it's not this week coming up, it's next week. And so my wife, daughter, and I we watched the first 2 episodes before they went to Seabase, and then we watched the final 2 episodes before we moved my daughter to school. So we're caught up on the first half of season 2 of Wednesday, and I like it so far. I used to like Enid a lot, but her character seems to have been sort of relegated to the background in this season, and it's focusing more on Wednesday's interactions with her mother, and they're having issues like that. The Addams families themselves have a much bigger presence in this season. Pugsley has joined Wednesday at Nevermore Academy, so he has his own story arc that he's dealing with, which is kind of maybe the weakest part, where he's trying to, I guess, just feel like he's always been sort of an outsider, and here he's just trying to fit in. So there's an urban legend that they tell all the freshmen about a boy with a clockwork brain or heart or something like that. And he's buried out by one of his trees. So Pugsley, who's been developing electrical powers, just like Uncle Fester, goes out and digs up the body and discovers that it was real. And his electrical powers actually brings him back to life as sort of a zombie. So Pugsley kidnaps him and brings him back to the academy, and enlists Wednesday's friend, the bee guy, I forget his name, who is also the roommate of Pugsley right now. They don't really get along too well. So their storyline was kind of the weakest because he needs to eat brains, and as he eats brains, he starts solidifying a little bit more and talking. Well, right now he's still making noises, but he's starting to form words and stuff like that. And so that's kind of the weakest part of the story. And then Morticia, we discover that she's on the outs with her mother, Grandmama, who's one of Wednesday's favorites, obviously. And the new principal of the school, played by Steve Buscemi, needs money for the school because the school's they're just running out of money. So she's trying to convince Morticia to call her mom, because her mom is extraordinarily rich and used to be one of the biggest donors to Nevermore, but stopped doing it a few years ago. And she's trying to get him, and he's trying to get her to start up again. But since Morticia and her mother have a bad relationship, he enlists the siren, which I forget her name, to use her power on Morticia to contact her grandmother or her mother to get the money in there. And so that's an interesting side story. And meanwhile, the siren, her mother, has gotten away from a cult that deals with money also. So there's a lot of conspiracies going on that they believe that Steve Buscemi's principal character is actually the head of the cult that the siren's mother was a part of, but no one knows that yet. But that's a theory out there. And there's just a lot going on. Enid is hanging out with other werewolves now that she's got her powers, and she is no longer with Ajax, but she neglected to tell him that they were broken up. And so he's been trying to woo her, but she's been ignoring him, and she's been cuddling up to one of the werewolves there. And Wednesday's just dealing with a whole lot of different stuff. Her psychic powers have left her, and when she had been using them, black tears were coming out of her eyes. And her mother's relationship is really going south. And then Gomez is just been there, since Morticia has to stay on campus, he's just been there to be with her so that they can be together. So he's just sort of around making little visits here and there and doing stuff. But there's a lot going on. There was a whole storyline that was wrapped up in the first 4 episodes, and then a new one was released about an avian who controls birds and was killing people to hide a secret, and then a mental institution that focuses on the special powered people, where I forget the guy's name again who plays the Hyde, is being held after his events from the first season. And excuse me. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, but it's been very good. A lot better, I think, than the first season, to be fair. I find it more interesting myself. But there's that. Looking forward to the second part of the season. All right, from this point, real quick, I want to say my nephew, he and his girlfriend have bought a house or rented a house or a condo or something like that. So they're moving in this upcoming weekend. So that's good for them. So they're going to do some painting. So they got their own place, which is great. They move out of my sister's house now and have their own place to start their own life. So that's really, really good for them. So things are coming up all over the place. So let's get moving. There's lots of Lego stuff going on. There's Pirates of the Caribbean Black Pearl Lego set is on its way out. The Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory Lego set is on its way out. Both look really, really good. One Piece has a number of the Lego sets coming out here very shortly too. And they just announced a couple video games. Well, one Lego related, the Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight on the Switch 2 video game is coming out in 2026. We got our first trailer at it, so they'll be doing a Lego Batman video game, which is great. And then switching from Lego, but staying with video games, there's also a trailer for the brand new Halloween video game that nobody knew was being made, based on the John Carpenter 1978 horror film, where you deal with Mike Myers and Loomis and all that stuff. So it's been shown. It looks the graphics look pretty good. It looks like an interesting game. So you got a lot of really cool stuff coming up like that. I was a little taken aback when I heard this, but then when I was prepping for this show, I realized that I was off by a year. But Fortnite OG, which is this a new thing where they're redoing all the old seasons, but with new twists to it. You have mini battle passes with new versions of the characters that were in the original battle passes. But you have sort of the same island and same guns and same sort of stuff going on, but there's little changes here and there. You get to keep a lot of the stuff that they did, that they built up over the years. You can go swimming, you can sprint, you can jump up, climb up buildings and stuff like that. You can do all that when you couldn't do that in the OG. But you got all the old locations, all the old weapons, and then the new weapon, and then the weapons that were in those seasons are starting to pop up. Like the Zapatron came out this weekend, which everybody talks about how terrible it was, and yet they're out and about now this whole weekend. But so they've only been going through season 1 right now, and in order. So I think there's season 1 or chapter 1, season 4. And they announced this week that they are going to be in January of 2027. Chapter 2, Season 4, which was the first Marvel-based season of Fortnite, will be coming to OG, which means all the mythics that were in that are going to be coming back. It'll probably be another Galactus attack because they've been following the end season sort of events. They do those again for those OG seasons. And it's really cool that they got the first Halloween, the first Christmas ones coming up here really soon, and it's going to match up with the Halloween and Christmas stuff coming up here too. So I've been buying the OG Battle Pass because there's some neat stuff on there. And so that's a good thing. So my son will be very happy because he has, I think one of his favorite seasons is chapter 2, season 4. to have that coming out in January is a good sign. Though it's not going to match up with Halloween because that came out around Halloween originally. So, but it's still coming out though, so it'll be good to see that. And you'll be getting new versions of the Marvel Battle Pass, so that's pretty cool. So there we go. A Man on the Inside, season 2, the Ted Danson show, which my wife and daughter and I, we watched the first season, which is very, very heartfelt, very funny, and very good. The second season is set to debut November 20th, 2025. Have not gotten a trailer yet, but we've been getting some behind the scenes photos. So I'm assuming we'll be getting a trailer here very soon. So looking forward to that. I mentioned this partially last week, but Chris Candy, the son of John Candy, will be playing Barf in Spaceballs 2. But then we just found out this week that Peter DeLuise, the son of Dom DeLuise, who was Pizza the Hut, will also be in Spaceballs 2 as an homage to their parents who have passed away. So that's very good. Nicolas Cage, he's got Spider Noir coming out next year, live action series on Amazon Prime, which I'm really looking forward to. Can't wait to see it. But he's sort of gotten a taste for TV now, so he's circling True Detective season 5 for HBO that he wants to join the cast on that. Nothing's been official yet, but they are in talks with him to get him to sign up to it, so that would make sense. And Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson have all done it, so why not him? Makes sense to me. Glenn Powell is currently filming J.J. Abrams' new film, Ghostwriter. Don't know anything about it, but it is filming in Rhode Island right now. So a lot of people in Rhode Island have been taking pictures of the filming, and you're getting different shots of like a shirtless Glenn Powell looking out a window, holding like dishes and stuff like that. There's also Glenn Powell on like a bike, all bloodied up. So driving through the streets of Rhode Island. So it's going to be some sort of thriller. It's called Ghostwriter as well, and it's J.J. Abrams. So it should be interesting to see what is going to be about. But they're currently filming that right now in Rhode Island, and we've got some of those behind-the-scenes pictures and look really, really good. I was unaware that Ethan Hawke has signed on to a TV show, but yes, he has. He has signed on to a TV show on FX. It's actually debuting September 23rd, called The Lowdown. And don't know anything about it, but he will be starring in a TV show on FX. Makes sense. The next logical step for an actor. Blade Runner 2099 is also set to appear on Prime in 2026. That stars Michelle Yeoh. So that's going to be really good too. A new animated show from the creators of BoJack Horseman is coming to Netflix, and the vocal cast is really interesting. The show is called Long Story Short. You've got Paul Reiser, Abby Jackson, Max Greenburn, Ben Feldman, Nicole Byer, and Lisa Edelstein. So they're all the voices acting for that, so that's pretty good. The Naked Gun, which came out August 1st, is going to be hitting digital on September 2nd, 1 month after it came out. It's the new thing now, which means it'll be out on DVD and Blu-ray probably in October. Arco trailer, a new animated film set to debut in movie theaters November 14th. It's interesting looking animation. It's not quite anime, but it seems like it's like a Korean animated film or something like that. It's definitely got unique, almost like flow-like vibes to it. And we got a quick trailer of it, and it just shows like a girl living in this weird, bizarre world where there's robots and weird stuff also, and there's this rainbow, and then she hears some noise, and a rainbow is falling to the ground, and there's somebody who's dressed up as a rainbow boy, and he's injured, and she takes him back to the house and gets taken care of, and then all hell breaks loose. But we did not hear any of the voices, because there are going to be voices, but we did get the vocal cast. Natalie Portman, Will Ferrell, America forget America from Barbie, America Genera, Mark Ruffalo, Andy Samberg, and Flea are all being voices. Ferrara. I don't know why it's a G. America Ferrera. That's what it is. Flea, Mark Ruffalo, and Andy Samberg are all voices for that. So that could be interesting, coming out November 14th, which is the same day as Running Man. So I might take that day off of work, go see Running Man, and then go see Arco potentially also. A Kobe Bryant biopic is in the works from Warner Brothers. Makes perfect sense. The Institute, based on the Stephen King novel, is getting a second season. South Carolina earthquake hit this morning. It's been multiple little mini earthquakes down in South Carolina over the past 2 weeks. They've had about 10 a week. Small ones, but they're still there, though, so that's interesting. A new species of dinosaur has been discovered and has a striking sail-like back, which is kind of interesting. A big butt starfish has been discovered, and it looks a heck of a lot like Patrick from SpongeBob. So that's pretty good. Coke announced their potential holiday soda, and it's creamy vanilla Coke. So I don't know what the difference is between regular vanilla Coke and creamy vanilla Coke, but we'll find out, I guess. Now we're getting to the two weird stories, and then we'll do now anniversaries, deaths, and then we'll move on to the next page. First, the serial butt sniffer was arrested again in Burbank. So it was the second time he's been arrested. So a serial butt sniffer. So I guess he comes up to people and sniffs their butts. Okay. And this is the best. Breast implants that light up is a new thing now. So if you want to get breast implants, you can get breast implants that light up now. So if you're going to the club and you have these light up breast implants, you just press your nipples, I guess. And while you're dancing, light is going to come off of your tits. Pretty cool, huh? Of course, everybody knows you're not natural, but sometimes it doesn't matter. Anniversaries. The Legend of Zelda, the original, the OG Legend of Zelda, debuted 38 years ago this week. I remember playing it, and I remember my mom's boyfriend Tony playing it. Like, he spent a whole night playing it. Like, he worked at FedEx, and they got home, turned it on at like 6 p.m., and when my mom got up to go to work, he was still up at 6 a.m. playing it. So he played it all night. That's interesting. I talked about the South Carolina earthquake. A Maryland earthquake hit 14 years ago this week. I remember that distinctly also because I was at work. My boss, Jack, was gone for the day, I think, or he was at lunch or something like that. And he must have been out because I was at his desk sorting orders, and there was like really nobody around, and it was like around break time, I think, also. And our bay door was open, and I was just sitting at the table, and this paint just doing my sorting, and then my chair started to shake, and I thought it was a guy who worked there who he and I always pulled pranks with each other. So I turned around and said, very funny, and then there was nobody there. And then a few people came in and said, hey, I think we just got an earthquake. And then the guy who I thought had messed with me was in the bathroom. So he was in the bathroom and shows what was that? The bay door was shaking. And then the co-owner of the company came down and said, y'all have to evacuate until we find out if there's going to be any more, if there's any damage to the building or whatever. So we all went out into the parking lot, and people on the road right next to us, it was 28th Street in Baltimore, asked us why we were out of the building. Was there some sort of alert? We said, yeah, there was an earthquake. And so it became a big deal because it was very small, very minor, and no major things happened. There were many jokes from this point on. That was always like, always remember the Maryland earthquake, and it had these two like lawn chairs just on the side. That was all it was. When I got home, there was like one or two of our photo not albums, but the photo frames had fallen. They didn't break, but they had fallen off of and that was really about it. So it was interesting. So I remember that happening distinctly back in 2011. So it was very, very interesting. And then there was a hurricane that was bearing down on us like a few days later. So Also, the anniversary 11 years ago this week, Peter Capaldi had his first session as the Doctor. Better Off Dead, one of my favorite 1980s films, is 40 years old this week. The Witches, one of my favorite early 90s films, is 35 years old this week. Chronic Town, from my favorite band REM, was their first EP with 5 songs, debuted 43 years ago this week. And this is sad news. 19 years ago this week, Pluto was stripped of its planet status on August 24th, literally 19 years ago today. Pluto was stripped of its planet status, and I'm still sore about that. So that kind of pissed me off a little bit. So deaths, we have Jerry Adler. This is a character actor I want to go into because Jerry Adler was character actor most notably in The Sopranos, but he also appeared in Northern Exposure. And I could have sworn he was in Seinfeld also. So let's just see what he was a character actor. So, there's not really a lot that he did early in his career. All right, let's see. Film, The Public Eye, which is a great underrated Joe Pesci film, Manhattan Murder Mystery, Larger Than Life, 30 Days, Schenectady, New York. And that was his movies. TV, he did Brooklyn Bridge, True Colors, Quantum Leap, Mad About You. He did 12 episodes of Sergeant Panino and Mr. Wicker. Northern Exposure, he was Rabbi Alan Shulman for 3 episodes. New York Undercover, Hudson Street, he did 22 episodes of. Law and Order, Spin City, The Sopranos, he did 28 episodes of. Late Line, Wonderland, Bull, The West Wing, The War at Home, CSI Miami, Rescue Me, he did 34 episodes. Till Death, he was in 3 episodes of that. Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Good Wife, he did 30 episodes. The Good Fight, 2 episodes. Transparent, 9 episodes, and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was in Seinfeld, but I was wrong. But that's character actor Jerry Adler. He passed away this week. And Ron Turcotte, the jockey for Secretariat, also died this week as well. K-Pop Demon Hunters is still one of the hottest things out there. And this weekend, and this weekend only, they were released in theaters as a sing-along version. And it became #1 at the box office with an estimated $15 million just over the weekend. And my wife was going to try to go to it with my daughter, but because of her college and stuff like that, they still have some showings, but I don't think they were planning to go to 11 o'clock show tonight, but I don't think it's going to happen now. But right before I came on to do the show, they announced that Netflix will be airing the sing-along version of K-Pop Demon Hunters on Netflix starting on Monday. If you missed it in the movie theaters, you can watch it on Netflix and have your own little mini K-Pop Demon Hunters sing-along. So that's really, really cool. So here's a little bit about clickbait. A black moon occurred on Saturday. And everybody's making a big deal. A rare black moon is occurring this weekend. It's going to be like a complete void in space and blah, blah, blah. I just made it seem like it was going to be this massively cool thing. It happens every 33 months, and it's the opposite of a blue moon. A blue moon is when there are 2 full moons in 1 month. And there's nothing about it being blue. I mean, people have said before, there's a little bit of blue twinge. There really isn't. Same thing with the black moon. The black moon is when there are 2 new moons in the same month. So new moon is when you don't see the moon at all. So obviously there's going to be a void in space because the Earth's shadow is completely blocking out the moon because it doesn't have light of its own. It's reflecting the light of the sun. So when the sun is blocking it, or blocking the sun, the shadow of the Earth is on the moon, that's when you get a new moon. And we've had two new moons this month. That's what a black moon is. But the clickbait was made it seem like it was like a rare occurrence and it's like the end of the world, stuff like that. It happens every 33 months. So yeah, it's kind of rare, sort of similar to blue moon. Blue moon probably happens every 33 months also. It's rare. It only happens usually once every few years, once a month every few years. But it's not really anything different. It's just because the way the cycle is of the moon, it just so happens that we have two in the same month. So, whatever. So, my son's obsessed with Godzilla, and we watch Godzilla, Shin Godzilla, stuff like that. They announced that a Godzilla Clue board game will be coming out September 24th of this year. So, that could be potentially a Christmas present for him. But that's kind of shame doing a Godzilla Clue, which is really cool. AMC and Regal Theaters are releasing Funko Pops of their popcorn buckets. So that anthropomorphized, whatever, the popcorn buckets. They have legs and arms and faces and stuff like that. But in the end, it's just a popcorn bucket filled with popcorn with a face and arms and legs. And it says AMC or Regal on it, and they're different colors, stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. Dexter Original Sin, which was originally renewed for a second season, has quickly been shafted to renewal and has been turned back to, we are canceling you. So there is going to be no Dexter Original Sin season 2 now. The original cast of Dawson's Creek will be doing a one-night only reading of the pilot for cancer research. It's the first time they've all been together in a while. Toxic Avenger released a throwback trailer. The original Toxic Avenger came out in the early 80s and was a B-movie sort of independent film that nobody really thought much about, but sort of got a little bit of a cult status. So they decided to emphasize that for the remake. It's got a bigger cast. Kevin Bacon, Peter Dinklage, and Elijah Wood are just part of some of the members of the cast. And it's due out this Friday coming up, the 29th, I guess. So there we go. So that's good on that. So we got the throwback trailer that's debuted this week. We really don't need a reboot of this. Seventh Heaven is getting a reboot with Jessica Biel producing, but not starring in it. And all the Republican conservative MAGA fuckbags are going to lose their fucking minds because Seventh Heaven is going to be going woke with a multicultural version of The Family. So they're going to lose their fucking minds because they're a bunch of racist shitbags. Dominic West and Sienna Miller are set to star in HBO's new show War, a legal drama. So we'll see how that goes. Antonia Thomas, Josh Dillon, and Imelda Staunton set to star in Agatha Christie's Tommy and Tuppence on BritBox. It's a 6-episode miniseries on BritBox, which is a streaming service only for British made shows. Bridgerton has finished filming season 4, so it'll be coming in 2026. And Bridgerton has also been renewed for seasons 5 and 6, so we'll be seeing more Bridgerton down the line. Blumhouse and Netflix. This is actually kind of interesting. I might have checked this out. Blumhouse and Netflix. Now, Blumhouse is a horror distributor which distributes low-cost horror films that make a lot of money because they don't make a lot of money, meaning that they greenlight a $2 to $3 million movie and with not many big stars in it. And it's just this typical horror film, nothing major exciting. You release it in movie theaters and the horror fans come out, they watch it, and it makes like, I don't know, $15 million in its first weekend, maybe $10 to $15 million opening weekend. On a $2 to $3 million budget, you've made $12 to $13 million in profit. So they perfected that, and then they take some of that money that they've been saving, and they do release a big time thing like Five Nights at Freddy which ends up making them more money because they're able to pay for more special effects and more bigger actors, stuff like that. It makes more money for them, but they can't do that all the time because they're not sure that it's always going to work, and they always have the money. So the easiest way to be successful is to do these low cost horror films that don't need to like destroy the box office. Just make a decent amount and you're set, and then it'll last for a couple weeks and then go away, and then you'll get the money from the Blu-ray and stuff like that because and from streaming, buying it, stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting about that. But this is kind of interesting. So Blumhouse and Netflix are teaming up for a docu-series, so a documentary series, and it's called Nightmares of Nature. And it's going to be multiple series. The first one is Nightmares of Nature, Cabin in the Woods, set to debut September 30th. The only pictures I've seen are like frogs at night, with these weird looks on their faces. So not sure exactly what their plan is. Blumhouse is like a horror sort of thing. Cabins in the Woods are horror. But if you're doing a docu-series, are you talking about animals that are out at night around the cabin in the woods, like raccoons and snakes and bats and bears and coyotes and stuff like that? Are you going to show? I don't know. It's an intriguing concept. And it's a docu-series, so it's not a fictional series. And it could be very interesting. So I'm going to check that out on September 30th, which is really cool, too, because the next day is October 1st. So it's like they're setting it up to prepare yourself for spooky season by doing a scary documentary series. And Netflix does wonderful, wonderful documentary series. So that's really a neat idea. So we had a South Carolina earthquake. We also had a Texas earthquake. And we also had an 8.0 earthquake that hit the Drake Passage, which, if you don't know what the Drake Passage is that South America, if you go down all the way to the bottom, has a tip, and there's a passage of water between the tip of South America and Antarctica. It's one of the worst areas to maneuver a boat through because the weather is unpredictable, the currents are unpredictable and stuff like that. An earthquake hit in that area right between South America and Antarctica. And 8.0 is not one to sneeze at, so that was kind of an interesting look. I'm going to first look at Will Arnett and Laura Dern and Bradley Cooper's new film, Is This Thing On? It seems like it's about comedians, so it's pretty good about that. And this is just funny. So Karen Gillan's fantastic. She was in Doctor Who, was in Guardians of the Galaxy, was in the Jumanji movies, and also was recently in The Life of Chuck, which she was great in as well. But if you've ever listened to her real voice, she's Scottish as fuck, and she's fantastic. She's got the best Scottish accent, and she's unabashedly Scottish. She loves being Scottish, and she's totally Scottish. Now, Highlander, the remake with Henry Cavill, directed by Chad Stahelski, who did the John Wick movies, and also has Batista in it, which is interesting because her and Batista reteaming after Guardians of the Galaxy. So Highlander is a Scottish character, and it's set mostly in the Scottish Highlands. So you're like, oh, that's an awesome idea. You get Karen Gillan can go in, she can do her native tongue. She's been cast as the Egyptian immortal goddess sort of thing. So she's going to be not Scottish. She's going to be Egyptian. I find that fucking hilarious. I don't know why. And it sucks. I love hearing Karen Gillan talk. And the fact is she's not going to be able to do her Scottish, use a regular voice. In the what the fuck casting, Haley Steinfeld, which isn't what the fuck. She's a great actress. DK Metcalf, he's a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, are teaming up along with Ron Perlman, Leon Mandrell, Renzi Felix, and Frida Pinto in Doug Liman's new film, Asteroid, which is about a group of astronauts who go to an asteroid to mine it and make a fortune, and then if things go wrong. But Haley Steinfeld and DK Metcalf. What the fuck is DK Metcalf, a Pittsburgh Steelers football player, doing there? Now, I can't really say much because Adam Sandler made a bet with or a deal with shit, I just had his name too. Fuck. I hate when my mind is stupid. Give me a second. Derrick Henry, yes. God damn, I'm so stupid. Made a deal with Ravens running back Derrick Henry that if Derrick Henry hits 2,000 yards rushing this year, Adam Sandler will put him in his next movie. So they made a deal about that, so we'll see what happens. So hopefully Derrick doesn't get hurt. Derrick cooks and Lamar lets him cook. That would be a lot of fun. But it just seems weird, just like a weird cast. I mean, Haley Steinfeld, Ron Perlman, Leon Mordet, Renzi Felix, Frida Pinto. Okay, they're all actors. But DK Metcalf? What? Matthew Broderick and Alan Ruck, who last reteamed in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, are reteaming for another comedy called The Best Is Yet to Come. So got that coming out probably next year. Shamika Moore, who is the voice of Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies, has announced that he is behind the mic voicing Miles Morales again for the final Spider-Verse movie. So that's moving right along right now. Netflix is using astrology to pick what shows and movies they're going to recommend for you. There's a hub now where they have all the astronomical signs and they say, for you Geminis, here are all the films and TV shows that we recommend. For you Cancers, for you Leos, for you Virgos, for you Aries, it's not Aries, Taurus, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of interesting that they're doing that. So we talked about the creamy vanilla Coke coming out around Christmas time for Coke this year. Next year, it's rumored that Mountain Dew will be releasing a creamy Mountain Dew, a dirty Mountain Dew soda. That's the new trend now, where you pour like a cream base into a soda and mix it up, and that's what dirty sodas are. But this will be a dirty soda in a bottle. Made with the cream already in it, or it'll just be using the flavors of the cream. So a creamy Mountain Dew flavor is an interesting concept, and we'll see how that works out. So we'll see how that goes. That's not out till 2026. So we got that and coming out next year, which I'll do on my show if I can find one. The next one I'll be doing is the Trolley, which is only available in zero sugar, which sucks ass, but it's due to come out in Walmart tomorrow, the 25th of August, for 2 weeks. It'll be exclusive there, and then sometime in early to mid-September, you'll be able to get the Trolley Mountain Dew. It's cherry lemon, I think, anywhere. Now, the bad thing about it is that one of the best Mountain Dews is their annual Voodoo, where they do a mystery soda where you try to figure out what the flavor is. There is no Voodoo this year. We believe that Trolley is taking the place of it. We believe that when they were approached, Trolley said, can we do a Trolley flavored Voodoo? They said, no, we'd rather you just announce a Trolley as being your soda, because we'll do a Trolley Mountain Dew flavor. And that way people know that it's Trolley, not like, this sort of tastes like a Trolley. But they will know it, and that's like that. So Trolley's like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. So you have to, if you want to use it, you have to just release it as regular Trolley, but not as Voodoo. So I think that's what happened with that. So that kind of sucks. I hate whiskey, but they are doing a chocolate flavored whiskey. It'll be coming out this holiday season as well. Angry Orchard is getting into the fall Halloween-esque thing as well. They've got a new fall 6-pack or 12-pack that includes a can or two with Jason Voorhees' face on it. So that's pretty good. I saw these cool pumpkin brews at this liquor store I was at today. It was kind of cool. Ghostface from Scream. You have a new Ghostface knife holder, which you can get now at Spirit Halloweens. If any have opened up around you, you can get a Ghostface knife block, which is really interesting concept. We've got some behind-the-scenes pics of Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein film. The Pit Season 2 teaser trailer was released this week. We also got a new trailer for A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey with Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie. It's a debut September 19th. That looks a lot to me like the We Live in Time film for this year that I want to see, the romance sort of thing. If you're about this Lego thing, this is local news. A Lego resale store will be opening in the Cockeysville Shopping Center, which Cockeysville is where my wife and I used to live before we moved out here. They will be buying Legos. You can buy Legos there as well, but you can sell your old Legos to them, and they don't have to be complete. So we have a ton of Legos in here that the kids don't even look at anymore. If we can maybe take all that together and dump it there, maybe make some money off of that, that would be really good to clear out some stuff as well. So that'd be very, very much fun. So we'll see how that goes. That's interesting. Millie Bobby Brown and her husband, John Bon Jovi, have adopted a baby girl. I think Millie Bobby Brown's only 21 years old, but they've adopted a baby girl. A lot of people are saying, why are you doing this? But you know what? It's none of your fucking business. She wants to be a mom, but she's not quite ready to be a mom, meaning, going through the whole 9 months pregnancy. And she's only 21, so she's got plenty of time. So she probably talked to John and said, hey, I kind of want to, or Jake, I'm sorry, not John, Jake, or Jack or whatever, her husband, and said, do you want to adopt a baby so we can get, a head start on, baby stuff, and then we can get pregnant 5-10 years from now, after, my career, I've done a little bit more for my career and you've done a little bit more with your stuff and we're better off, but we can have the experience of raising a child early on. They're married. It's a good sign that they're going to be together for a while, that they are indeed meant to be together. So I wish them the best of luck. I hope it works out for them. So all the people who are hating on that, fuck you. Mind your own fucking business. Who cares? It's not like she's going to treat it like a dog. She's not a moron. She's probably going to be a great mother, and Jack, her husband, will be a good father. So we'll see. Anniversaries. Hawaii became a state 66 years ago this week, which is funny because my boss at work was in Hawaii all this week, so I was sure he was there for the statehood celebration. Born in East LA, debuted 38 years ago this week in movie theaters, as did Dirty Dancing, debuted 38 years ago this week. I saw that, so last Thursday, which is the actual date when it debuted in movie theaters in 87, I watched the movies that made us behind the scenes of Dirty Dancing. So it was kind of cool to see that on the day that it came out 38 years ago. Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which was Kevin Williamson after his Scream 1 and Scream 2 were just massive hits. Dimension was like, what do you want to do? He says, I like to direct. And I've had the screenplay sitting around for a while. It's called Killing Miss Tingle. And it's kind of, it's a personal one because he had a teacher named Miss Tingle who, and he talked about this when he was doing press for the movie. He had a teacher named Miss Tingle who absolutely hated him, and he hated her. They were just, bam, 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 like that. And so he had, dreams of killing her and stuff like that. Everybody has dreams, as long as you don't do it, having thoughts about harming or hurting someone you don't like is okay, as long as you don't do it. So he decided to just write it out. And so he wrote the screenplay for Killing Miss Tingle. And Dimension was like, okay, you've written it. You want to direct it? Okay, you can direct it. But we got to change the name of it. Killing Miss Tingle just doesn't seem right because it came out in 1999, in the summer of 1999, August of 1999. Back in April of 1999, Columbine happened. So just the thought of killing teachers and having that in the title of the movie just did not sit well with Dimension and other people as well. So Kevin reluctantly changed it to Teaching Miss Tingle, and it flopped. So people were expecting a Scream 2 sort of redux, but they didn't. They got something else. Katie Holmes was in it. Barry Watson from Seventh Heaven was in it also. But it didn't do very well. And that was that. And Ken Williamson hadn't directed another movie until Scream 7, which is due out next year. So let's see what happens. He's directed like TV episodes, I think. What's the other anniversaries? Anything else? Nope. All right, that page is done. I got 3 full pages left. Super Troopers 3, a third movie that nobody was expecting, but the fans of Broken Lizard are very happy to see, has started filming, so that'll be coming out next year. Trammell Tillman from Severance has been cast in Spider-Man Brand New Day. That is not a rumor. That is actual fact, so he will be in there. Rumor is the luscious, gorgeous, talented, amazing Florence Pugh will be reprising her role as Yelena in Spider-Man Next Day, Brand New Day, to sort of set up Doomsday and stuff like that as well. I don't know how true that is. Honestly, I don't think it is, because I've seen a lot of these rumors that, and Joe Keery as Harry Osborn, and a lot of people think Trammell's going to play Norman Osborn, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see. The FDA has warned consumers about the potential for radioactive shrimp, which became a meme this week. Particularly funny one is Godzilla fighting a giant shrimp monster in the bay. But yeah, apparently there have been some frozen shrimp from some location have shown a little bit of radioactivity in them. Don't know why or how or whatever. So they're warning people. I think they're trying to remove them from the stores that they're in. Walmart, I think, is one of them as well. So just be aware and see what happens. I don't think it's high enough radiation to kill you, but still, it's just not right. The first of 2 large bear stories, which is really interesting. I don't really have these too often. This one's the funniest of the 2, though. A large bear broke into an ice cream store, and what was his favorite flavor? He absolutely demolished strawberry. So they made the joke strawberry, ha ha ha. But no, apparently strawberry was this bear's favorite flavor. He absolutely demolished it, ignored all the other ice cream, but absolutely demolished the strawberry. So that's kind of funny. And I guess we'll do the other one. I remember what it is, but I don't know where it is around here, so I'll just tell you. A bear was also discovered in a jacuzzi. The jacuzzi wasn't on, so when you don't cover the jacuzzi and the jacuzzi's not on and it's not heat up, whatever, it's just a tub of water. So this family who had a jacuzzi out on their porch or deck or whatever went out in the morning, and there's this bear just sitting in the jacuzzi. It's not on or anything like that, but he's just sitting in the water, just chilling, like, hey, how's it going? So that's kind of funny. I thought it was funny. Jeffrey Wright and Octavia Spencer are set to star in an adaptation of Death of a Salesman, which we haven't seen a good adaptation of Death of a Salesman in a long time. And it's a screen version, so that'd be pretty cool about that, with a script by Tony Kushner, who's one of the best writers we have out there. So that could be very interesting to see that. Diane Wiest is set to return in Practical Magic 2, which has started filming already. So she'll be reprising her role as one of the ants, which is good. No word if the other ant is going to be in it. I forget the actress's name right now, who she was in Grease. Eleanor the Great trailer, which is Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut. We got our first trailer for that. They'll be releasing in September or so. Daphne Keane and Sarah Chinari have been cast in Percy Jackson Season 3. Daphne Keane was best known being in Logan and in Deadpool Wolverine, playing X-23, the female Wolverine. She will be playing Artemis in Percy Jackson, and no word yet about what Sarah's going to be playing, so that'll be interesting. An Archie live action film is in production with Tom King, a local comic book writer, writing the screenplay for it. He wrote a Archie comic not too long ago. And it'll be more along the lines of the comic, which is more of a goofy romantic comedy instead of the hardcore Twin Peaks-esque sort of a version that Archie did on the WB or CW a few years ago. So this will be a more comic book accurate version of Archie, particularly with Tom King writing it. So it's going to be more of a bubbly, goofy, romantic comedy, sort of updated for present day, which is an intriguing idea. Everybody's been screaming about woke Doctor Who and the ratings being down since Disney Plus got involved, and Ncuti Iwata was the Doctor because he's a black gay character, and all the racist, sexist assholes who hate gay people were complaining about Doctor Who, which they've never watched before, and Ncuti left after only 2 series. Apparently, there could be a lot of smoke and mirrors going on with that. I think there is actually, because Doctor Who's notorious for that. But BBC said, well, we don't know what Disney Plus is going to do. We're still going to do Doctor Who because it's still a staple with us. And besides, we do it better than Disney Plus did anyway. So Doctor Who will continue through BBC. Don't know if Disney Plus is going to be involved in any way. So that's good news for that. This is actually something that I did not really hear about either, and this is really cool too, particularly for a history guy like me. Netflix is doing a miniseries, 4-part miniseries called Death by Lightning, which takes a look at a piece of history that no one really takes a look at. Y'all know about John F. Kennedy's assassination, you know all about Abraham Lincoln's assassination. But there was a couple other presidents been assassinated. One of those was James Garfield. James Garfield was assassinated, but you didn't even know that. Well, Death by Lightning, this 4-part miniseries, is going to be the story of James Garfield's assassination. It's 4 episodes, so it's going to show how James Garfield probably was elected and all the stuff he's been doing and what led to the assassination. But it's got a killer cast. You got Michael Shannon. You've got Matthew McFadden, you got Nick Offerman, you got Betty Gilpin, you got Bradley Whitford, you got Shea Wiggum, set to debut on November 6th. 4-part miniseries. So we got our first poster and some behind-the-scenes pictures of it. So Nick Offerman looks like he absolutely belongs in 1800s America in this picture. So it's really, really exciting to see that. Person tested positive for the plague. Yes, the plague, the Black Death. Someone tested positive for it. Don't know what country it was or what state it was, but someone did. And that, again, is the failure of our shitty, illegal government. Very Young Frankenstein show in the works from Mel Brooks. I think I mentioned it before, but I wasn't sure. But they're doing a prequel to Young Frankenstein called Very Young Frankenstein. Who knows? Alligator was spotted in Pennsylvania in Bucks County, which is the county that was next to Berks County, which is where I went to school. So that's kind of interesting. Nia DaCosta, who directed the great sequel, The Marvels, that everybody hated because they hate they're misogynistic pieces of shit. Her next film is called Hedda and stars Tessa Thompson. We got our first look at that, some behind the scenes pictures and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. We also got our first look at Half Man. Where is it? Half Moon, I think, which is the for the creator of Reindeer, Baby Reindeer creator. It's a show with Richard Gouillard and Jamie Bell. We got our first look at the new show that Baby Reindeer got a lot of Emmy nominations and awards. So people are expecting the same thing to happen with this one. A new moon was discovered orbiting Uranus after JWST took a new photo of Uranus. That's pretty cool. They've been discovering all kinds of new moons all over the place. The flesh of wild pigs in California is turning blue. No one really knows the reason why, but here we are. the new Pokemon Z to A revealed a new Mega and Mega Victory Bell, which a lot of people think it looks absolutely awful, including my son. Mayor of Kingstown season 4 with the guy who played Hawkeye. I can't think of his name right now because my mind is stupid. Got its first trailer, said debut October 26th. There's a new Amadeus TV show. We got our first look at it with Will Sharp as Mozart, so that's interesting. The Anemone trailer was released. It looks like actually a pretty powerful movie. Daniel Day-Lewis's return to acting after being retired for about 4 or 5 years. And Sean Bean is also in it as well, set to debut October 2nd. But what's interesting about it is that Daniel Day-Lewis co-wrote it with his son, and his son is directing it. That is the only reason why he came out of retirement to do this movie. The trailer basically didn't release much about two brothers played by Daniel Day-Lewis and Sean Bean. And the older brother, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, was in the army and something bad happened. And I'm not exactly sure. There's a lot of really wild visual stuff, including a massive tuna, dead tuna floating in a river. And then he also sees this weird sort of like silvery light thing. And then there's thunderstorms and stuff like that. But it looks like another Daniel Day-Lewis Oscar nomination. It looks like he's doing a great job. Sean Bean looks like he's holding his own, so he could get a supporting actor nomination as well. So that'd be pretty cool. Baltimore Comic-Con, which is run by the guy who runs my local comic shop up the street. Actually, that would be, let me see where I am right now. In front of the house is there. It's right over there. So the comic store is right over there. The guy who owns that comic shop runs the Baltimore Comic-Con, has for about 25, 26 years. And it's one of the more popular Comic Cons out there. It focuses a lot on the comic book creators, artists, writers, stuff like that. But occasionally they do pop in a pop culture thing here and there. Not often, because they want to focus more on the writers and artists. And that's why the writers and artists keep coming back every year. And we have one of the biggest variety of writers and artists out there, popular ones that are working now, that are hugely popular now. Big names have shown up, stuff like that. So it's a big deal, and it's a great con. We talk to a lot of these creators. They ask me to list their top 5 cons. Baltimore is always in the top 5. So that's, kudos to Mark, who runs it. But he does do some pop culture stuff. A few years ago, he brought Matthew Lewis, who played in Harry Potter, Neville Longbottom. They brought him to it. This year, they're bringing a portion of the Weasley kids, the Phelps twins, which is insane to have them in town, and Bonnie Wright are going to be at the Baltimore Comic-Con this year. So having the Phelps twins in Baltimore is absolute insanity. And to have them with Bonnie Wright is going to make it even crazier, because they're the ones that still are the stewards of Harry Potter, as the others have sort of moved on with their lives. So it's great to see them. So they will be in town October, I think, like 19th through the 21st, something like that. I will not. That's going to be the wedding of our friends Liza and Alex way out Western Maryland. So we're going to be going to that instead, obviously. But absolutely, if you are, I'm start pushing that on a bunch of my friends at work, so like that, who might not necessarily be comic book fans, but might be Harry Potter fans. Hey, the Weasleys, the Weasley twins and Bonnie Wright are going to be in town, and Harry's wife. So definitely check it out. So very cool. Deaths: Dr. Vivian Ayers Allen, poet, cultural visionary, passed away this week. Humpy Wheeler, Charlotte Motor Speedway manager, passed away. And anniversaries: An American Werewolf in London debuted 44 years ago this week. Blade debuted 27 years ago this week. 1 Hour Photo debuted 23 years ago this week. Inglourious Basterds debuted 16 years ago this week. And Garbage Pail Kids also came out in 1987, 38 years ago this week. 2 more pages to go. Emily in Paris season 5 is set to debut December 18th. The Morning Show Season 4 is set to debut September 17th. We got our first trailer for that. Mayim Bialik, Cheyenne Jackson, and John Griffin are set to star in the romantic comedy Go Love Go. Midnight Horror Story. This is kind of interesting. Marlon Wayans will be bringing a popular South Korean game show to America. Basically, it's about Marlon to get a bunch of actors to come up on stage, and they have to perform a horror story. And the scarier they can make it, the better they can make them winning the competition. You're going to be going up against one or two other actors doing sort of similar stories, and you've got to act, get the voice down and scare people and get stuff like that. And then the audience votes on it with like a candle and shit like that. We'll see how it actually works for American people, but that sounds like really interesting. So that could be really cool to see that. New trailer for Kiss of the Spider-Woman, directed by Bill Condon. Jennifer Lopez, Diego Luna set to star in that. Department Q gets a second season. It did very well for the first season. Series never heard of before called Boots is coming to Netflix on October 9th. Afterlife with Archie, which was a comic book series that's a bit more serious than the typical Archie comic, which they're making an Archie movie already, but this one is a zombie apocalypse Archie sort of thing. So they're considering making a series on Disney Plus. Could be interesting. Rare orange shark with white eyes was photographed in the water. Trailer for Black Rabbit, the Jude Law, Jason Bateman TV series on Netflix, set to come out in a couple weeks. Debuted this week. Josh Holloway, after getting his show canceled, is already set to star in 1 Second After, a new movie. The kite fin shark is now the largest luminous object in the ocean. It's a luminous shark who exudes bioluminescence, which is really interesting. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell is set to get a Netflix animated series, which is kind of interesting to see them do an animated series for this video game. Could be pretty cool. Daphne Zuniga has finally come back, signed on officially for Spaceballs 2, so she will be back as well. Some local news: the popular Field of Screams Halloween haunted area up in a local area has been canceled this year. It will not run this year for whatever reason. That's going to be very upsetting for a lot of people. First one I can't read. Oh, that's what it is. YouTubers spent 4 months creating a mini subway for their cat. That's what it is. I remember that story. It's an interesting idea. Just a train set thing. I don't know why you would do that. Not in our district, but in somewhere out in the West, a school district had to shut down classes on the 5th day of classes after every single school bus had their catalytic converter stolen overnight, which is a crazy story that could actually happen, but it did. Fallout Season 2 trailer is set to debut December 19th or something like that. On Amazon. We got our first trailer for it. Looks continuing to look really, really good. So we're gonna get some Fallout this year. My daughter will be happy about that. I think it's the 19th, so that's when she'll be back home. So we'll be able to all watch that together, which is cool. The Duffer Brothers have signed on with Paramount. Last week we talked about them flirting with them. They've officially signed on with Paramount, but they will still be working and involved in any Stranger Things spinoffs that come out of Netflix. So that was part of their contract, is that if any spinoffs happen with Stranger Things on Netflix, we will still be involved with that, but we'll be doing all of our new stuff will be on Paramount Plus. My son doesn't really like movies all that much, but he's very excited for this one. The Backdoors movie has finished production, so set for a 2026 debut. What's really interesting about The Backdoors is A24 is distributing it, and it's based on a creepypasta about a guy on YouTube who made videos of weird places with weird creatures and came up with a whole sort of mythology to it, stuff like that. Made a whole bunch of videos about it, and it just took off like crazy. So people talking about the back rooms as if they were real and stuff like that. The guy who originally created all this is a 20-year-old kid, and he was asked to direct the movie. And he did. So he brought it in time, and he's working on post-production on it right now. So debut 2026. My son says, I want to see this. So when the back rooms opens up next year, we will go see it. Speaking of streamers and stuff like that, a car bulldozes into a restaurant, which disrupted food influencers' live video. So they were making a video of themselves eating at this restaurant because they were food influencers. And as they're eating, this car plows right into their table. They were fine. Everyone was fine, but still kind of scary. They got it on video too. Last week, we talked about how rabbits are starting to have weird appendages appearing all around their body right now, looking almost like Cthulhu-type creatures. Well, another week, another animal. We have zombie squirrel sightings now. Squirrels have been spotted with weird bumps all over them as well. Again, fears of it being some sort of skin disease, like the tentacles is rumored to be that thing right now. More proof that AI doesn't work. OpenAI has created a robot sort of thing, and it was busted trying to make a copy of itself on an outside server. And it was shut down before it could do it. And then when they approached the AI robot and said, hey, why were you doing that? He said, I wasn't doing anything. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So they've learned how to lie. Way to go, AI. Anniversaries. Open Water debuted 21 years ago this week. That's a creepy movie that just scared the hell out of you. You're in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. You got sharks all around you. There's no boats for miles. There's no way that you're probably going to make it back. It's a freaking scary movie, man. And based on a true story, too. She-Hulk, hugely underrated and hugely unwarranted hate. Debuted 3 years ago this week. One Day with Anne Hathaway debuted 14 years ago this week. The Beastmaster, one of the films that I watched all the time on HBO, debuted 43 years ago this week. And Strange Brew, another one I watched all the time on HBO and back in the day, debuted 42 years ago this week. Some deaths. We have King Beard X, a TikTok star, died at the age of 47. Sue Kesey, an entrepreneur in Springfield, Oregon, passed away. Frisbee, Seth Meyers' 14-year-old dog, passed away this week. And the kindly Judge Frank Caprio passed away this week as well. He's known for being fair and kind and also just when it needed to be. The one viral video I remember seeing of him was there was a 90-year-old veteran who was in court being sued, something like causing an accident for going slow on the road or something like that. And the judge, absolutely, talked about, thank you for your service and all this stuff, and said, hey, he's 90 years old, still living and protecting us, and like that. And he was able to work a deal with everybody that would fit everybody. So that was good. New Cars TV series is set to be showing up on Disney Plus with Owen Wilson returning as the main voice. The Diplomat Season 3 trailer debuted this week, set to debut October 16th. We got our first look at Cody Rhodes as Guile in this new Street Fighter movie. It's just a shadow, so you really don't see much about it. UK scientists have created living skin for robots. It peels, it pinches, you feel things, and it looks like real skin they can put on actual AI robots. Japanese researchers have created night vision contact lenses. So if you wear contact lenses, you can get these night vision contact lenses so you can see at night a whole lot better. That's pretty cool. Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize have teamed up to preserve a portion of the Mayan jungle. House of Guinness from the Peaky Blinders creators is set to debut on Netflix September 25th. Didn't know there was so much, gangster stuff in the creation of Guinness, the beer, but apparently there was. Czech Zoo welcomes the birth of 4 rare Barbary lions, which are almost extinct in the world. So that's a good sign. And there's one I can't read. I can't even. Good Boy trailer debuted this week. Set to debut October 3rd. It's another unique horror film. Originally, it was only going to have limited release, but because after they released the trailer and it got a huge response online, they decided to expand the number of theaters it's coming out on. So it'll be coming out October 3rd. Perfect time for Halloween because Good Boy is a horror film from the perspective of a dog. We did a couple years ago, we did a movie about a horror movie from the perspective of the psycho killer. This one is from the perspective of a dog who is in a house where weird things are happening. It's from his perspective. People are getting a really they're getting a scary vibe because they're afraid something's going to happen to the dog. So it's actually a good sort of, they saw the trailer and they saw about the horrible stuff that might be happening and they're freaking out that something's going to happen to dogs. That might be enough to get people in the seats to make sure that nothing happens to the dog. So that's really cool. Yeah, I got it now. Our first look at Nick Frost as Hagrid dropped this week. We also got our first look at the new Weasleys. All of them this time. So that was pretty neat to see them for the new Harry Potter series. I don't think I wrote that down. No, there they are right there. The Ballad of a Small Player trailer debuted this week. Colin Farrell set to debut October 29th from the director of Conclave. So that's going to be getting some good buzz here soon. That'll be my last story. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, the live-action animated hybrid that Jon Favreau is directing, has signed Steve Martin and Al Madrigal in the role of 2 live-action characters. Stranger Things ice cream treats are coming out. Disney wants to get started on Cruella 2 with Emma Stone. Gandalf and Frodo are set to return for the Hunt for Gollum film, set to start filming next year to debut in 2027. A pink and white lobster was caught off the coast of Maine. We get Oswald's Paragood or whatever, his next film, Keeper trailer with Tatiana Maslany, set to debut November 14th. It's a bizarre little film so far. Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's last film, gets a Criterion 4K later this year. Kevin Costner, Jake Gyllenhaal are set to star in the Amazon MGM dramedy Honeymoon with Harry. NFL and Crocs have set up a multi-year licensing deal. Ireland to get their first ever Taco Bell and Wendy's restaurants in the coming months. So that's pretty interesting. So before I get to the last 2 stories of the week, some deaths. Ronnie Randall Jr., Pink Floyd stuntman, died at the age of 88. He was set on fire 15 times for the cover of one of Pink Floyd's albums. John Cariff, who created the iconic James Bond logo, passed away this week. Bill Flynn. Don't know who that is. I can't read my handwriting, but he passed away this week. Claudio Maccone, Italian SETI astronomer, died at the age of 77. Reggie Carroll, Baltimore County comedian, stand-up comedian, was shot to death this week. That's a shame. Anniversaries, Mr. Mom debuted 42 years ago this week. 105 years ago this week, women were given the right to vote with Amendment 19. Surprising it took so long as it did, but women have only had the right to vote for 105 years, which is an absolute crime. They should have had it longer. Phineas and Ferb debuted 18 years ago this week. Snakes on a Plane debuted 19 years ago this week. And Wild at Heart debuted 35 years ago this week. Oh, I did that one. That's Nick Frost Hagrid. I did do that one. Okay. All right. So the last stories we have. First up, a man sentenced to jail for spending $140,000 of his company's money on Pokemon cards and other gaming items. That's a $140,000 stealing from your company for Pokemon cards and other gaming stuff. That's crazy. And finally, in the world of comic books, Captain America, Spider-Man, and other Avengers are set to time travel to 1776 in a new 5-issue miniseries written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Ron Lim. Ron Lim's a fun artist, has been around since the 90s. I've liked a lot of his stuff, and J. Michael Straczynski wrote Babylon 5 and then had a intriguing run on Spider-Man. Might not have been the best in the world, but was intriguing. And then he created Rising Stars, which was a great comic book. And then there was another one that he did. I can't think of it. It was just as good with Gary Frank. So he's a pretty good writer when he wants to be. So that's an intriguing idea. Going back to 1776. I don't know what they'd be doing there, but maybe it's sort of a rejection of what's going on in the world right now. All right, that's it for this weekend's episode of Dylan Knows. It is the final weekend of summer. Next weekend is Labor Day weekend. It'll be a busy one. As I said, I'll be doing my fall preview either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I'll be doing this show Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, because we do have Monday off also. And then we get into September, and we get into football, and we get into fall, and we get into good stuff. So the good stuff is coming. The long, hot summer is starting to disappear, and things are starting to level out now. It's going to take a few more weeks, but once we get to about mid-September, we should be in a much better place mentally and physically, maybe not in our country, but here we will be. So let's see what's going on. Have a good week. Not everybody's going back to school this week, so good portion of schools are still going to wait till after Labor Day in our area, but Baltimore County does go back tomorrow. It's also my son's 16th birthday, so please wish him a happy birthday. And also I hope that my daughter is succeeding and doing well in college and enjoying herself, because we have not heard from her. So hopefully everything's okay. So that is it. Labor Day weekend coming up next.